came to America, we were living in the East by the Nile River, living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
Keep the call, y'all. It's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad said 6 words to us, and these were the 6 most powerful words that he spoke. He said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own. The Caucasians who brought our fathers into slavery desired to take us away from our own people, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, our own language. So we have grown up in America away from our own mind, away from our own selves, and so we have been actually indoctrinated with an alien mentality.
10,000 fearless men. Because we're going to have to challenge the things that are destroying our community. So this ain't no punk time. This ain't no temple time, mosque time, or church time. All the singing and shouting and preaching is over. Get in them streets now. Block by block. We're going to have to clean it up. The airwaves is not enough. The television screen is not enough. You got to put boots on the ground who are trained and are willing to make the sacrifice of life itself to see our community made a decent place to live.
Attention. Drill.
Soldiering is a part of the Nation of Islam, and it readies all of us to obey the commands of God. Now some will ask, well, why military drill? Because this is what produces the camaraderie.
Facebook and Instagram thought that they could ban the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
But in reality, they can't, because he already lives in us and millions of others.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
In the name of Allah, Lord Muhammad, the one true and living God to whom praise is due forever, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. WHID-FM is your personal platform where those of us striving to follow the life-giving, life-saving teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gather right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question of what has Islam done for me. It is Sunday, June 2nd, and at this time we're going to turn it over to that dynamic co-host of WHID-FM, our sister Janine Muhammad, who is a superstar student here in the ministry at Muhammad Mosque number 6 under the leadership of our beloved brother, student Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad. Sister Janine.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and thank you again for joining us for another Sunday of WHID-FM, What has Islam done for me? Where we hear stories from our various guests that we introduce to you. This week's guest I'm going to introduce, our first sister is Sister LaWeeda Muhammad, who was a Chicago native who grew up in the nation, fourth generation Muslim, who loves to cook and finds joy in serving others. She absolutely loves to teach, especially young people. She stepped out on faith and started introducing her desserts and gift of baking. She does spoken word and has a passion for writing poetry. Sister LaWeeda would love to, in the very near future, put her testimony in a book. One of her favorite sayings is, "Under trial with a smile." Something people wouldn't know about her is that she likes to sing, and the one thing that people are discovering about her is her wit and amazing sense of humor. And our next guest tonight is Sister April Muhammad, who is introducing the remarkable woman who was a devoted wife, mother, and a grandmother. Since becoming a registered member of the Nation of Islam in 1992, Sister April has been a beacon of strength and inspiration within her community. A seasoned homeschooler, she has not only nurtured her children, but has extended her guidance to some of her grandchildren. From her late 20s at the Muhammad University of Islam, MUI, to recent years, she has actively contributed to the education sector. Currently, she imparts her wisdom as a tutor for Richmond Public Schools, ensuring that the gift of education continues to flourish in the lives of the next generation. Sister April's journey is a testament to a life well lived, marked by love, creativity, and tireless commitment to community and education. She is currently wrapping up her 50th year of teaching while remaining a lifelong learner. 32 of these years have been with the Muhammad University of Islam. She loves being a student of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught and exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and applying them to life. Being an educator in the Muhammad University school system has been one of the most blessed rewards of what Islam has done for her. And she encourages every Muslim parent to enroll their children in MUI and become active in making our school system what Master Fard Muhammad designed it to be. Being in the classroom of God has no equal in current civilizations. Sister Latifa believes what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes in our Savior has arrived. However, no education of this world, the white race, will be accepted into the new world. For the new world, you will have to have a new education and a new government. She wants to do all she can as an advocate of MUI with Allah's help to further its growth and development of that new education, of that new world. So we'd like to welcome you both onto the show tonight. And before we get started, I'm going to turn it over to Sister Latifa, who is going to go over our topic for tonight. Sister Latifa.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
In the most holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came to us and is with us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. And I thank him for raising the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the exalted Christ, the great Messiah, and the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. And we thank both of them for giving to us our divine guide, the Jesus who is on time in this time, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet all of you. Assalamu alaikum. And first, we want to give thanks to Brother Donald and to the staff of WHID-FM for seeing the possibilities of How to Eat to Live, the Science of Food series come to life. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the impact that food has on the 9 systems of the body and the brain. It's going to be incorporated with spiritual connections from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from the guidance given to us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, supported by the Holy Quran, the Bible, and of course, How to Eat to Live 1 and 2, and other great material. As a goal or mission for this program, it's been penned by Sister LaWeeda Muhammad, who you're going to hear from, and we're affectionately calling both of our guests tonight food scientists. She writes, "The science of food through WHID-FM desires to change the lives in the most positive manner possible. It makes no sense," she says, "to be blessed with gifts and talents and not use them properly to glorify God. It is our sincere hope that when you leave tonight, that you will recognize that everything it takes to make you better is right inside of you. Righteous people die when they are ready. It is our sincere obedience to God that makes us powerful. John 10:10 states, 'I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly.' Tonight's segment is focusing on the science of food, the nervous system, and you, the body of Christ. Please listen, learn, and enjoy the science of food with the food scientist, Sister LaWeeda Muhammad, Sister April Muhammad, as I turn the program back to your co-host, Sister Janine Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Sister LaWeeda. And I'm going to get us started with our first couple of questions. So my first question will be for you both. So some people may say in this time that we're living in, there's so many things that you can't eat. You can't eat this, you can't eat that. So what is the purpose of having How to Eat to Live or even applying it if everything that you eat, the enemy is trying to destroy it? And we can start with Sister April first.
Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Thank you, Sister Janine, for that question. But yes, there's a lot that you can't eat. The devil has given us a lot that we can't eat, and with Allah's guidance, we know that we don't have to eat a lot. We don't have to eat a whole lot, a variety of things. What we would have to give up is only what our enemy has given us. We don't have to partake of what he has for us. So what we're giving up, all that we're giving up, we don't need anyway. The foods that Allah has for us is perfect for us, and the timing, and the amount of times we need to eat once a day.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Sister LaWeeda?
If you wouldn't mind repeating.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So some people may say, the enemy is poisoning everything. It's nothing that you can eat because it's something in everything. Why is it still important to know how to eat to live when the enemy is already poisoning all the food we eat?
Two things in response to that question, if I'm understanding it correctly. As I'm doing research on, first of all, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, asking for his help and guidance, give the proper response. When I think about the nervous system and your question, I was doing some research and I pulled it up and it came right to me when you were talking. They have this altered brain response. So a diet that's high in fat can change how the brain responds to food, making healthier options less appealing and satisfying. This is due to the activation of certain neurons in the hypothalamus that are involved in the sensation of hunger. So the mathematics of the mind, in Brother Nuri's book, he has a chapter in there called What We Feed the Mind. The mathematics of the mind means whatever we feed the mind the most, that's what wins. When these self-destructive, toxic thoughts begin to show up in our mind, food, toxic thinking, you can't think right until you eat right. So some of the food is attributed to how we think, if I'm answering your question properly. We have the authority, Brother Nuri says in his book, over our mind to tell our mind to get me a better thought. So we have to be able to have a mind to eat according to how to eat to live. That's how I would answer that.
Yes, ma'am. And my next question before I turn it over to Brother West. We are one of the units that is known that we are taught as MGT is how to cook. But some may say, well, that's a basic principle. I know how to cook. That's nothing that, that's special. What do you say that Islam gives you that exemplifies and just takes your cooking to another level? And this time we can start with Sister LaWeeda first.
The first thing that comes to my mind, it gave us the understanding that your kitchen is a laboratory. So when I looked up laboratory, it was any place or set of conditions conducive to experimentation, investigation, and observation. Anything suggestive of a scientific laboratory. Before we came into the Nation of Islam, we just saw our kitchen as a kitchen. We didn't see that we were food. We didn't even understand, in my opinion, until we had to be retrained and retaught that when you go into your kitchen, that's your laboratory, and you are a nurse, and you are experimenting. You are being scientific and putting the proper foods in your system, in your body, that we may function properly. But we didn't know that until we came into the Nation of Islam in learning how to cook. So we're not just cooking, like the minister said. This is not how to learn how to mash a potato and fry some chicken. We are learning how to eat to live. But when the minister talked about the word live and love and the vowels being interchangeable, we had to first learn that we were worthy, learn how to love ourselves so we could eat to live. So loving yourself, that was the first understanding, right? And then putting the proper food into your system so you can live, but you take care of what you love and you do it by properly eating.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. That's right. Praise be to Allah. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Brother West, who has some questions for you both. Brother West.
Yes, ma'am. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam.
That's the one, sir.
Praise be to Allah. It's great to have you all on for such a wonderful topic. So my first question for you both, and I'll start with you, Sister April. I wanted to know if you can share your understanding of how the Navy beam was introduced to the Nation of Islam, and why exactly Master Prophet Muhammad prescribed it to the believers.
Brother Wesley, let me tell you, do me a favor. Start with Sister LaWeeda on that.
Yes, ma'am, no problem. Sister LaWeeda, if you can share.
Repeat your question, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to know if you can share your understanding of how the Navy beam was introduced to the Nation of Islam and why Master Prophet Muhammad prescribed it to the believers.
Everything that we needed or need at this time is in the Navy beam. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in How to Eat to Live that if we start our babies off with the Navy beam, they can live over 200 years old if that was the only thing that they had. I believe that I've heard how the Navy beam got its name and some of its history and how it healed us. But if I can answer this question this way also, with the time that we're in, Brother West, and how inexpensive the Navy beam is, it's really a part of our survival, our spiritual survival and our the survival of our lives, the health of it, if you will. The Navy beam, I grew up on it at 55 years old. it wasn't until 2021 or 22 that I caught my first cold. I never had a cold until then. I was never sick. I didn't take any medication, but I was breastfed and had the navy bean. So I bear witness that it is such a healer. So coming into the Nation of Islam, or recommitting myself into the nation and adopting the diet of how to eat to live, that didn't come till later on, but eating it, I could bear witness to the health benefits. So it was one of the first things that you learned when you joined the nation. Even though I grew up in the nation, I didn't understand its value until I began to cook it, began to eat, and then began to see the difference in my life and the lives of my children. They were never sick. Bean soup, bean soup, bean soup. It has everything in it. You don't have to substitute it, Brother West, or if you just want to eat bean soup, it will keep you here for a long time. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said too, we have to feed ourselves the right thought also. So it's just not, you can eat the navy bean. What did Sister Ava say? May Allah be pleased with her. You can be a pure water drinking vegetarian Muslim, but if you don't have the right thinking, you can eat all the beans that you want.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. And Sister April.
And Brother West, you know, I agree with Sister LaWeeda. She has covered it. I couldn't add another thing.
Yes, ma'am. No problem. Well, now that you all shared your testimony as to how the navy bean was introduced, I wanted to know if you can share the different benefits that the navy bean offers to the consumer. And we can start with you, Sister April.
Well, like you said, the benefits of it being very inexpensive, and all of the nutrients that are in it. It's really filling. You can do many things with it. Your skin, you will be beautiful and bright and youthful. And like Sister LaWeeda was saying earlier, it can stretch your life. You can, and I don't think it can be tampered with. I think if I'm not mistaken, it cannot be tampered with. So it's a safe bean, a safe food to eat. Yes, sir.
The antioxidant, protein, the carbohydrates, everything that people feel that they need to have in other foods is right in the navy bean. Nuts, they want to promote meat, they want to promote everything else but the navy bean, but it has everything, you know.
Complete.
It is complete, but it's so small. We are surprised that very small bean is complete in terms of everything it can offer you nutritionally. Everything's in it, and the protein, tons of protein,
right?
Carbs, not a lot of fat, very nutritious, but and also very inexpensive.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And now we'll turn it over to Sister Latifa.
Assalamu alaikum again. And before I ask my question, I want to champion the navy bean as a survivor of cancer. Navy bean also fights radiation. And in this day of technology, everybody needs to eat the navy bean at least once a day in your diet. With all the radiation that we're being bombarded with from all the electronic tools, we need what the navy bean gives to our system as a barrier against that radiation.
Yes.
Praise be to Allah. So I know you all have done all this work on the nervous system, and I want to move a little bit towards what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. He said that Allah God, in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, has taught me that fasting with the right kinds of food is the cure for our ills. He said to me that there's no cure in drugs and medicine. So what role does fasting play on the nervous system as we fast at least 3 days a month how does that all connect to helping to protect this body of Christ that we all have? And I will open that up to either one of you to start.
Sister Latifah, could you repeat that for me? Because I have some notes here to answer that.
Yes, ma'am. We're looking at the benefits of fasting and how it impacts the nervous system when we fast, and how that helps us to sustain this body of Christ that we all are a part of.
Well, the fasting, from what I understand, helps to detoxify the blood, but the nervous system, it has its own government. It is an arsenal of a command center that sends signals back and forth. So when you think about getting clear thoughts, clear thinking when you're fasting, the nervous system, because you can, with some of the neurons, when I was reading and studying about how we can damage it through improper food, you can actually improve it with the right food. But the fasting, I believe, just gives it an opportunity to heal and be able to send better signals in terms of if I'm understanding your question.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Sister April, anything you want to add on the fasting aspect?
It's a strengthening.
Yeah.
I'm in a way right now where I'm having to do that, having to let my system relax in order to fight something that I'm dealing with right now. So it's of a great benefit, and I feel better than I have in a long time. And so when you let your system rest, and I'm bearing witness that I feel a whole lot better, a whole lot lighter. And so it does. It has its benefits, great benefits health wise.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah.
That Sister Latifah.
Yes, ma'am.
When in message to the not message to the black man, but how to eat to live on page 19, when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, fasting is a greater cure for our ill, both mental and physical, than all of the drugs of the earth combined into one bottle or a billion bottles. God, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, has taught me that fasting with the right kind of food is the cure for our ills. He said to me that there's no cure in drugs and medicine. So that is, we could preserve the nervous system because we're not damaging it with drugs, with fasting to give our bodies a rest and time to heal.
Yeah.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. When we were riding home today, we were listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in a lecture called The Science of Jesus as Redeemer, Messiah, and Christ. And he was saying that the kingdom of God is going to come through us, but we're being fed meat of the king, swine flesh, pouring wine into us, the vessels of God. He said, your living body is the house of the living God. It is the holiest of houses. Do not profane it. So how does the swine also impact that nervous system and all the other foods that the merchants of death are giving to us, somewhat taking off on Sister Janine's opening question? And how would that really hinder us from continuing to be a part of the membership or that government that you were talking about in the nervous system?
When you think about the food that we eat, both physically and mentally, even if we're eating properly and we have the nose of a snout where we're looking for trash, we are what we eat. So how could we be whole and well and have a nervous system functioning properly if the food that we're eating is destroying it? How can that happen? You know, I have something I want to read here from one of the doctors. It's Dr. Mayada, Dr. Mayada Holt Muhammad. And she talked about the nerves can be damaged by improper diet and food. She said your system is its own government. It's your authority. It's your power. It's your rule. And it has to be connected to the government of God. It can't be separated. So the nervous system is a means of communication with all the systems, signals, and the releasing of hormones. So if we're not eating right, how are we going to send the right signal to the mind to create a different action if we don't have a different thought? That's how I would answer that.
Oh, praises to Allah. Well, my 2 questions are over. I'm back to Sister Janine.
Thank you, beloved. My next question has to do with everything that's going on in the world. So we, of course, not too far ago, we was dealing with COVID and staying at home, and we were dealing with the diet. Can you tell us how Islam and these teachings and how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has prepared us to be able to get through that tough period, which we're still going through, without having to take on everything that the enemy was telling us to do to keep us from getting COVID or keep us from getting sick? How did Islam and How to Eat to Live protect us and still protecting us from these man-made diseases? And we can start with Sister April first.
Yes, ma'am. We're taught to eat 1 meal a day. We're taught to eat the best of foods. We're taught to eat the foods that would promote our well thinking, promote health in our body. Our enemy has suggested to us and given to us and even forced on us bad food causing bad thinking. We can't get ourselves together. That's the state he needs us in order to do whatever it is that he has planned, which is to take us down with him, because he already understands that it's over for him. And so he taught us bad ways of being, taught us how to eat the wrong foods, to fear him, and put us in the way that we are. But Allah has given us a simple way of eating to give our systems time to rest. We only need 1 meal a day. If we can go to 1 meal every 2 days or 1 meal even every 3 days, then that's a blessing. The more you can wait, the longer you can wait, the better, the stronger, and the quicker in thinking that we will be, the wiser we will be. And with the help of Allah, keeping in prayer and building your relationship with Allah. We're being taught to submit. Our enemy would have us rebel. Allah wants us to submit where we can be blessed. And these things help us get through any tough time, any challenge, any test of life that comes, that Allah may permit. The believers, those who want to submit to Allah's right way, can get through. We just have to trust Allah and follow his way, and follow the man that he put in our midst to help us and keep reminding us of the better way of life, so that we can get through anything, and to just stop listening to our enemy. Because as you can see, what he has chosen for us proves there was no benefit to it. It didn't do anything positive for us. It didn't lift us up. It didn't make us well. We got sicker. We couldn't think. So yes, the way of life that we were given, that Master Fard Muhammad came and gave the black man and woman of America, is absolutely awesome and can top anything. So that anything that comes our way, on any level, he taught us and gave us the way to be able to master it. Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Sister LaWeeda?
Yes, ma'am. It brought me to something in the Torchlight for America. and page 124. One of the brothers read it during a lecture just recently. It says, knowledge and valuing our bodies properly. Knowledge is the principal resource that can help us take better care of our bodies and our health. God, the creator and sustainer of all life, has given us direction for taking care of our health. However, we live in a society that is in direct opposition to the directions from the giver of life. And as a result, we suffer. So it just aligns with what Sister April said in terms of the opposition. And can I read something else if that's okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, in the mathematics of the mind, Brother Nuri made a point about gastroenterologists have discovered a scientific fact that you are what you eat. He said, notice I use the language feed on the word of God. In the book of Ezekiel, God says, mortal man, eat of this scroll. In Matthew 4:4, Jesus says, man cannot live on bread alone, but every word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Lord. The prophet Jeremiah says in Jeremiah 15:16, your words were found and I ate them. All through the scripture, the word of God is called food. Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that for every physical law there is in the universe its spiritual counterpart. Whatever we eat, we adopt the characteristics of this. It applies to physical food and the word. This takes the phrase, you are what you eat, to another level. When you feed on the supreme wisdom, you become a supreme being. So eating to live is just not a phrase. Right. You know, it's just not something that we say, because I remember the minister said in the Final Call radio, he was repeating someone, and he said, you're not into that word. You're not in the word. Meaning that when he was reading it, he wasn't on the inside of the word. So when we're talking about how to eat to live, we got to get inside of the word so it can attract the people to want to do better. We just can't say, you know, how to eat to live. That sounds good, but we have to give it to them in a way that they can receive it, feel the love and the conviction by the way we are living and eating properly, and bringing them Jesus and giving them understanding, because he came to give us life and give it to us more abundantly, and how to eat to live.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Praise be to Allah. And my next question before I turn it back over to Brother West, a lot of people may complain and say, hey, listen, the healthy food costs more. Going to these Whole Foods or these moms, the food is so much more expensive. You know, when they buy the processing food or the less healthier food, it extends a little bit longer. So what advice would you have for those who are struggling, trying to find a balance with eating better, but being able to feed themselves with their pockets, but saying, hey, I don't know if I can put this as my budget. Those who need help with that, what advice would you can give them? And we'll start with Sister LaWeeda first this time.
The so-called Negro buys what they want and begs for what they need. So people I hear it all the time. I don't have the money. I said, well, you can pay now, pay later, because the medication is not cheap. So you can go the easy way or you can go the hard way. But it's really us having to reverse the way we think, because Satan said he was going to make evil fair seeming. He's going to have the right thing looking wrong, the wrong thing right. So you'll pay $300 for some weave and for 25 cents. And we're not in the habit of reading the ingredients. Right. So in answering that question, I had to make up my mind what target audience I was going to sell my dessert to. These are pork-free, non-GMO, soy-free, organic ingredients. Where's the market for that? It can't be the one that's worried about the bins, right? Don't you take my bins anywhere and they wash my car door or dry it off with newspaper and scratch up the paint. But you'll put anything in this temple. So healing starts in the mind. We got to encourage us to want to think a little bit better. And the minister said these words. He said, and I want to quote him verbatim, but if I mess up, correct me. But he said, your life can change in the twinkling of an eye when you change your perspective on what is valuable. What's valuable to you? What's valuable to us is looking good. But the minister said we live long, but we don't live well. So there has to be a way to reach our people to see. You know, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave an example of a baby throwing money down the toilet, right? They don't know the value. It's just a piece of paper to them. But to the mom, that was gas money. I could have got some groceries. That's valuable to her because she knows the value of it. But when we were talking about our worth, we have to know that we're worth putting better inside of us, but we don't know that is the reason why we can take our money and buy frivolous things and really don't give a damn about this. That is not a thought. We don't even read the ingredients. It looks like a whole dissertation on a cake. I'm talking to the believers about stay out of Publix buying desserts. I was behind the scenes of that. It's trash. It's killing us. So this is not just for the people in the street, the lost found in the street. It's for the lost found Nation of Islam. We have to practice how to eat to live, not quote it, not just memorize it, but put it in practice. Because we're killing ourselves and our people are in love with things. But we're not in love with this temple that has been made and divinely made by the God.
That's right.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Sister April?
Beloved, what? Did she say it or did she say it? Did she cover it or did she cover it?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Praise it any better. And absolutely, Sister LaWeeda. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Now, before I turn it over, I'm going to turn it over to Brother Wesley. But before I do, you reminded me of something, Sister LaWeeda, when we talk about believers, and a lot of us are believers, but the minister said we got to be followers. So we can believe everything, but until we put it into practice, we can't, we can't just say that we're a part of the Nation of Islam and expect to live 100 years. We got to follow those teachings. So,
Can I is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
I found myself so nervous in the beginning. I just asked for your forgiveness.
It's not no problem
to be before us when you just want to do a good job and be pleasing to Allah.
Yeah.
But I started a luxury transportation business, and it is allowing me to invite guests. It's allowing me to have good conversation. It's allowing me to have some straight talk. There was a lady that got in the vehicle with a cane. She wasn't very old, but she couldn't hardly walk. And it just made me think about the lessons. We, walk into the store, we got rheumatoid arthritis, we bent over, we broke down. But what was so amazing is when I was sharing these things with her, she was like, I never heard this before. We're talking God. I said, we're talking God. I said, but your love for God is based on how you take care of yourself. Now, I want to say that I love God, but I have to say that I'm striving to love him because I'm striving to love myself because I don't make it every day. So we can't get so far on our high horse from I love God, I love Jesus, and I'm doing it all right, and I'm going to pray over a kidney loaf. That is not going to work. So she just said, I just really appreciate you sharing this with me. I said, do you like to read? I said, I will mail you How to Eat to Live. And the beauty about the books of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he knew that he had to give it to us monosyllabically. We couldn't have a whole lot of syllables. We were struggling with reading, right? So you have words in here that are easy to pronounce and easy for you to understand. But it just breaks my heart to see us dying when we don't have to. We have to redirect our revenue to what's more valuable, what's more precious. All of what you have, you can get again. But once this is gone, that's it.
That's right. That's it. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful.
Praise be to Allah.
At this time, we're going to turn it over to Brother Wesley. He actually has some questions for you both. Brother Wesley?
Yes, ma'am. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace in our ancient original tongue of Arabic of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for this conversation. Much needed, much needed. One of my questions that I had is that How to Eat to Live is one part the right food one part the right time of day. But my question would be, is there a proper pace in which we should be eating these meals? And if so, what is that proper pace of eating meals? And we can start with either Sister LaWeeda or Sister April.
When you say the proper pace, in terms of making the transition to doing something different.
Well, I'm speaking more so coming from our past of slavery. We tend to eat faster than we probably should be eating. So the pace in which we actually partake in a good meal, how should we be properly taking that meal in? And if so, what is the measure in which we should be doing that to really get the full nourishment of the meal versus just kind of, for lack of a better word, scarfing it down?
You know, we are not living in all four of our dynamics. We're only living in the dynamic, unfortunately, of survival. So we eating on the run, we eating while we're driving, we're thinking about this bill, we're thinking about that bill. So we haven't got a chance to really see the value of sitting down at the table, having a good meal, on some nice dishes, and taking a moment to chew the food properly. We're not on the plantation in that respect anymore. We probably were shoving our food down because Master wanted us to come on back to get to picking cotton or whatever else he had us doing. So we shoving it and we got to get back to work. So we have not really settled down. We're rushing, so the proper pace would be to chew it and so it can properly digest. The same way the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us that when you finish listening to my words, don't go turn on the music. Don't go turn on the TV. Let it digest. Chew on it. But you can properly chew the food and have it properly digest if you just chomping. We're eating on the run. We're not slowing down. But if we can begin to see our work and see that it is in divine order, that you sit down at a table and have a good meal. But that's not always, that's the struggle for balance. You're not going to make it every day, but you do have to give it a good try. I had to force myself to do it in all transparency. Let me just sit at the table, and enjoy the food that has some nutritional value. But if you come out the drive-through, a Big Mac or a cheeseburger, you ain't even praying. You ain't even thanking God for it. You just shoving it and you going on, and you're hungry 30 minutes later. But we do have the benefit is so it can be digested properly. And if it's nutritional, it can be distributed to the rest of the organs so you can have some benefit. But most of what we're eating, like Brother Nuri said, is flavored plastic, Yes, sir. That's how I would answer that.
Praise be to Allah. Sister April, do you have anything to add on that?
I do not, Brother Wesley. My sister LaWeeda is covering it all. Praise be to Allah for her research.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to
Allah.
Yes, ma'am. My next question, do you have any examples of diagnosing an issue in the family, whether it's health-wise or even spiritually wise, and what type of meal did you prepare to initiate or aid in the process of healing? We can start with Sister April.
I need to think on that a little bit more, brother. Ask Sister LaWeeda. Let me think on it a little bit more.
Yes,
I was a hairstylist for 37 years, and I would do how to eat to live workshops in the salon. Because at that time, I felt like it was vanity. And now that I'm getting more understanding through the study guides about being niggardly, we usually think niggardly is the finances, but it's really the knowledge, right? It's really you holding back the knowledge that can save people. And you telling people, I've never been sick, I've never had a cold. That's vanity if you don't try to take people by the hand to teach them, right? So not bloodline family, but this is my family in terms of my people, that I would share things by Allah's grace on how to eat to live. And see, the God is not reactive, he's proactive. So we have to solve a problem by preventing one, but our people don't know that. So we have to teach them, right? So I'm looking at how they're eating. And I said, your stomach is the size of your fist. It's under your heart. So this tire that you got around your waist is a toilet stool full of crap. You understand what I'm saying? It shows up in your attitude. It shows up in your red eyes. It shows up in your bad breath. Sometimes people have to open up their mouth and you can smell the aroma of an unflushed toilet, the gut, right? So she said, well, what church you go to? I said, I'm a Muslim in the Nation of Islam. Oh, I thought you was the real thing. Well, she got sick. Who she have to call? Because Islam comes when all else fails. You don't have to throw it in their face about what they said. You already know what you're dealing with. So yes, ma'am, how can I help you? And gave her some bean soup. And she ate that bean soup. And I'm not trying to be graphic, but I'm trying to be real. She ate that bean soup and couldn't flush. She was cleaned out. Her skin began to brighten up. She began to have life. How to eat to live. She began to live. And another client, she had polyps in her colon, but don't nobody want to listen to a stylist because you didn't go to the white man's college and you don't have no degree and you're not this and you're not that. All right, I'm waiting on you. Allah's waiting on you. You know, Queen, I got polyps in my colon. That's the beginning stage of colon cancer. Can you tell me what to do? Of course we can. 3 weeks later, she went. No polyps, no drugs, no surgery. How to eat to live. Met a lady on the road driving a truck. She's had sleep apnea, blood in her stool. She all kinds of messed up. How to eat to live. She said, I'm off my medication. Went with another lady. She on 17 different medications. We got her down less than 5. How to eat to live. You see, so our people have to get in a situation where there's nowhere else to turn. Because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, teaching alone is not going to save us, right? So we got to get a whooping. So the fact that they were able to go through it and then live to testify, man, all praise is due to Allah. But Allah has blessed me to save a lot of lives. 85 to 95% of my customers were off pork. They tried to lie and say that they didn't eat no more sausage, but I could tell in the hair, stuff popping out the hair. I said, you eat something, you almost knocked my eyes out. What is this? I can tell. It comes through the hair. That's being a scientist. Yes. I can tell when you're lying through your hair. That's being a scientist. How did you know? I know. Change your diet. Get back. Lady went to decide she wanted to eat a rib and almost fell out. See, I just asked him, just give Muhammad a chance. Just give him a chance for 30 days. Because I already know what's going to happen. You ain't going to be able to sit in the room with it. You're going to be mad if you got to ride it around. A lady was like, can you give me a ride? So what? I can't ride the pig around. You have to leave him at the bus stop. I'm going to take you where you need to go. But you and you, it was there the next day. I said, you welcome to get it. But he can't ride with me. We trying to save lives. How? To eat, to live.
That's right.
All praise is due to Allah. Sister April, do you have any examples where you were able to prescribe with a meal to those that were going through something spiritual or even physically wise that you were able to help with?
Yes, sir. Look, I saw my daughter put up there. She was reminding me of some things that, that I used to do with my children and to what's going on with myself right now. But I remembered it. It came back to me before she even put that up there. But when my children, if they had congestion, and preventative was better than anything. But if they happened to come with any kind of congestion, I gave them slippery elm, and slippery elm went in and wrapped itself around the mucus in their lungs and pulled it through their bowel. And that was a way of helping them. They hardly ever had runny noses or anything like that. The preventative thing was to keep them on the slippery elm, and it kept and golden seal. It kept them clean inside as children. People really didn't see my children with runny noses or anything like that, or colds or things like that, because I did that. Now with myself, I'm dealing with something right now, like Sister LaWeeda was saying. I don't have polyps in my colon, not that I know of yet. I've been diagnosed with diverticulitis, and because of that, they're telling me, to eat very, very, very. It was a clear liquid diet, and then it was just soft food. And that's what really helped me. And the pain that I was in before. I'm not in now. And it actually ended up to me coming back to fasting. And that's what helped me. So they want to, look for, make sure that, there are no polyps or anything like that. But that bean soup, that puree bean soup, yes, sir, is doing what it's supposed to do. And I'm feeling better. I told Sister LaWeeda I got in a medium. I haven't been in a medium in a while. So it helps. It helped all the way around. So yes, sir.
Is it okay to make another comment? Is that all right with you, brother?
Can you? Yes, ma'am. That's fine.
Is it
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I apologize.
Oh, no. That's okay. The minister talked about discipline, right? And this is how we're able to gauge our spiritual life. Because he said, where there's no discipline, there's no God, right? But the word discipline comes from disciple. We're striving to be disciples of Jesus. Like the minister said, they got the right man, but we have the understanding, right? So we can't look and act like the people we're trying to save. We have to have discipline. So we have to be proactive and not reactive. We have to take the necessary steps because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't call on Allah when you get into trouble. Call on Allah before you get into trouble. So solve it ahead of time so we're not in these situations. We all don't make it every day. So this is not a judgment. I'm just saying this is not the time right now with the way things are going, because how to eat to live and 1 meal a day is really a part of our survival kit. If you just want to keep it honest at 100, it's a part of our survival. That has to be number one in the survival kit. Because if you eat all day long and some go down and you can't get outside and you're in here hangry and things like that, like the minister said in one of his lectures, he said, what upsets the wicked don't upset the righteous. You know, they're acting like little gremlins because we don't have anything to eat because we've lost our discipline and we're no longer disciple.
That's right.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for your comments and answering those questions. I would like to now turn it back over to Brother West.
You're on mute, Brother West. You're on mute. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, praise be to Allah. Well, before I ask my next question, I wanted to deliver our station ID. Family, you are listening to WHID-FM. We thank you for tuning in and spending your valuable time, because without you, there is no WHID-FM. If you have any suggestions, please email us at WHID1919@gmail.com. And also, please subscribe to WHID-FM on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. And inshallah, next week on June 9th, praise be to Allah, Sister Kimmery Muhammad will be speaking on Push for Love Ministries. So make sure you tune in for that wonderful episode. And Sister LaWeeda, we can start with you first, but I wanted to know if you can speak on how fasting actually strengthens the nervous system.
I didn't run across any information that I could answer that correctly. How it could strengthen the nervous system. It can cure the ills of all the systems. But what I think that it can strengthen, since it's a command center and it sends signals, right? It can strengthen the mind because the brain, the spinal cord is connected to the brain. It's just right there in the middle. And it's the central part of the nervous system, right? So if we are strengthening our will with fasting and curing the body, then the nervous system just has to fall in line. But it's very difficult to repair nerve damage. That's why we're trying to be proactive. So I wouldn't necessarily know how to answer how it could strengthen the nervous system without including all of the nuances, the mind, the signals. It's like the call box. You know, if there's a misfire and there's no connection, and you begin to fast, you may be able to strengthen the connection where it won't miss. You know, that's the only way that I could answer that properly, in my opinion.
Yes, ma'am. Well, can I be heard?
Yes, sir. You can be heard.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well, Sister April, if you had anything to add.
I did not have anything to add, Brother West, except for that. I'm going to be my own experiment. You know, with that, I'd like to truly take the time and find that out. I'm like at the beginning. It's like I'm starting all over again. So everything that we're talking about tonight, everything that we're going over tonight, I feel like I'm at the beginning, and that I have got to truly make myself the example. I want to see it work even more. You understand what I'm saying? I want to apply everything that it is that we're talking about tonight. And I just feel like I'm at the beginning of it, and you all will walk with me through this and watch and see, with Allah's help, my transformation of truly applying and not letting things get in the way of making right and better decisions for myself. What is best, like Sister LaWeeda was saying about truly loving self, to make the right decision for self. You know, and so I'm absolutely happy to be, and that's why I'm doing a lot more listening than I am anything else, because I feel like this is really and truly for me, and like I'm the person who is going to be the example of watching us apply everything that we're talking about.
And
yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Brother West, is that okay?
Excuse me?
Is it okay if I add something?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to make sure. You know, I was thinking on some of the damage that we do to the nervous system, right? So fasting would really do the opposite, right? So exercising really helps the nervous system in a way I didn't even know it as I was learning and doing this research. Just exercising, walking in particular, and the release of certain hormones and the way that it strengthens the mind. But the fasting will strengthen the mind and strengthen the nervous system, right? Because when I was looking at the foods that cause inflammation, even stress has a lot to do with inflammation nervous system, just stress. So when about fasting and getting yourself really grounded and strengthening the will, I can really see how that can just affect you in the opposite on a higher and more and a better scale. And I do want to take a moment right quick, if it's okay with you. These are the minister's words right here. Health, he said, I want to talk to you on health, but health starts with health of your mind. If somebody can control that which you see, taste, hear, smell, and feel, they are feeding that which gives you thoughts. And you are not what you are, what you think. What you think is really what you are. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So when you're fasting, you get clear in your thinking, you get clear in your action, you get clear, closer to Allah. You start to have discipline. That can't do anything but improve and strengthen your nervous system and any other system that can cause you to stay in harmony.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. And Sister April, I'm definitely glad that you had that boost of inspiration. All praises due to Allah. So my next question, before I turn it back over to Sister Latifa, I just wanted to mention that there is a chapter in How to Eat to Live, Book 1, that's called Beautiful Appearance and Long Life. I wanted to know if you can talk to me about the age reversal benefits associated with following the dietary law that we've been given. And we can start with you, Sister April.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This teaching, of how to eat to live is the absolute truth. It is the absolute truth.
Absolutely.
Because it will turn your clock backward. It will hold back time for you, in your appearance.
Yeah.
Obedience to Allah will do that for you. But then he's obedience to what he's telling you to take into the body. Obedience to telling you what is right thinking.
Right.
Obedience to his will. And the more we submit to all that right guidance, the more beautiful we are anyway. So it's going to be on a physical level and it'll be on a spiritual level. Just submission itself, submitting to the will of Allah itself on every level. But yes, that how to eat to live will make you look younger than you really are. It's a beautiful thing. And when we are out in the public, people can never really guess my age. People will never really guess the age of a Muslim that is in submission to the will of Allah, for following the guidance of how to eat to live. No, it is one of the most beautiful things that attract people in the beginning. They can't tell how old you are, and when they do, it's like, no way, how'd you do that? Well, it's called How to Eat to Live, written by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, revealed to him by God himself. You can believe it or don't, but you're asking me how did I do it, and I'm telling you. So yes,
ma'am. Thank you. And now we'll go to you, Sister LaWeeda.
I was thinking about what Sister April just said, because the beauty of parents, even if people are really trying to eat properly, but they're living a rebellious life in other areas, you can see that death in their face. You can see the light begin to diminish. So rebellion is death. So you do lose your beauty appearance in feeding yourself improperly, physically and spiritually. Because you could be a vegetarian and eating holistic and doing this and doing that, and you could be selling drugs on the side. That's rebellion. So you could tell in your face and in your being that you've attached yourself to death and you've lost your beauty appearance.
Yes.
I was reading that the other day about the beauty appearance, and he said, and then he talked about, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but when y'all people, and we ate a lot of pig. I didn't grow up on it, but I lived a rebellious life. Now I wasn't eating the pig. I called myself a Muslim, but I was rebellious, so I wasn't shiny and bright, and the olive oil wasn't helping, and Vaseline wasn't helping. I was rebellious, and I looked rebellious in the face until I cleaned up my life. All praises to Allah. But when people are eating a lot of pork, they begin to take on the features. That's just the power of thought, the rebelliousness of our thinking. And you see people that if they're living a lifestyle contrary to their sexual orientation, and you see women that think like men, they begin to take on that. You can see it, in their face, and the beauty appearance just begins to disappear. So not just with the improper eating, but in the improper living, a rebellious life, so it can really take away your light, and you begin to live dark, not in complexion, but just no life. Yeah.
So true.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And with that, we'll go to you, Sister Latifa.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. I'm so excited with this series. I'm like Sister April. I'm learning so much and just thinking about how to apply this in, every day. And I want to go back to something that Brother Wesley asked, and a thought came before I asked my question about the pacing. When in our home, my father used to discipline us with chew each mouthful 32 times. And we would sit, I mean, it could be applesauce, and we would just be chewing, 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 chewing. And of course, what that did, it broke down everything. And I heard Sister LaWeeda say, so that the distribution. But now in Islam, what Brother Wesley brought to mind, Surah 32 is the adoration. And so when we stop and think and we chew, we have to be mindful. A lot of the Eastern culture, they talk about mindfulness. When we're eating, we have to begin to be mindful and thankful as the food is going through our system. Thank you for this food going to my heart. Thank you for this food fixing my lungs. Thank you for this food going to my nervous system. Because we take for granted that food is so poison today. We have to constantly pray over it while we're eating it, that it does not destroy our system internally as we're putting it in. And we pray to Allah that it comes out and still leaves us healthy. So I thought about that, and I thought about my father, so I can now say, thank you, Daddy, because I did not care for chewing 32 times. But when I saw that tied to the Quran, I was like, oh my goodness. So thank you for that. But with that, for both of you, as we're getting closer, what foods did you all find that really do help the nervous system? And in thinking about the foods that help the nervous system, I'm thinking of the quote that Brother Donald gave to us also. And he said that when Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoso eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood hath eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. How can we tie that together with the foods that we should be eating, since the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said only the guidance of Allah can prolong our life through how to eat to live? And that's for either of you.
Okay. When you hear us Black people culturally, talk about the blood of Jesus, right? And it's really taking on his life in being a reflection of it, not just the blood. And like he said, the blood in the wafer, it's more than that, right? So we are eating like him, being and striving to be like him. So it's just not the physical food, it's the mental and the spiritual, in my opinion. That's how I see it, if I'm understanding your question properly. And some of the food that we eat that can help the nervous system is your fish, your salmon, trout, lots of green vegetables. All of those things are, in How to Eat to Live. Because when I was talking to Dr. Mayada, who is a Muslim also, the enemy talks a lot about plant-based food that may not really be plant-based. But she was saying lots of plant-based whole food diet and not a lot of meat, So following, if you just think about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the minister, I want your mind. I want you to line your mind up with my mind. That's the blood,
That's right.
Flesh. That's becoming one. If we're going to strive to get a really proper understanding of it, it's on a higher level, not just the physical food, but let this mind be in you. That was the same that was in Christ Jesus. We have to become one in the eating of the flesh, if you will, and the blood.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Sister April.
Yes, ma'am. I don't have any more to add to what Sister LaWeeda said. It's pretty much the same what I came across. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So my last question is, Sister LaWeeda, you told us about don't take how to eat to live, not just being a phrase. So what do you think has been your greatest benefit from how to eat to live in the restoration of your life?
Really taking it and helping others, Sister Latifah, that been the best benefit, because I didn't have to be converted, if you will, and I use that term loosely. I didn't have to go from this to that. This is all that I know, right?
Right.
What do I do with it? You know, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a Muslim, I ain't never been sick, I ain't never had a cold. Ooh. But you curling people's hair and they taking all kinds of pills and this and that. So the best thing for me is to talk about it more in the testimonies of all the lives that Allah used me to save. And that was just simply, and I didn't have the best diet. I used to eat red meat for breakfast. You know, I was talking about I'm a Muslim, you know. So when I've been off red meat for maybe 32 years now or more. And just sharing that, people wanted to know, you know, how do you, I'm 55 years old, right? They're like, well, I thought you might have been 40 or this, that, but that's how to eat to live. But how do you eat this way and not try to help somebody, you know? So I'm so passionate about diet, because you're looking at a people, you're saying you don't have to die like this.
That's right.
It's such a waste. I mean, it's such a waste. I mean, we're so broke down and we're shoving more and more and more. We're looking for more. We're looking for more. And that's the tool that I use to get a hold to the people, really. You know, to talk about my age, not in a vain way, but just to have a conversation like, oh my God, you must be doing something right. Well, how to eat to live? Would you like to learn more? You know,
that's
of
right.
course I would. Do you like to, whether you do or not? What's your address? I'm sending you the books, you know. So that's how my life has been restored for me, by taking this and helping someone else to be.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Sister April.
Yes, ma'am. For me, it gave me a sense of not just a sense of it. It gave me discipline. I'm a person who I love to cook. I can cook. I love to cook. Not only that, I love to eat. I really, really love to eat. And when I learned of how to eat to live, I had to discipline myself. I would probably be, if I did not have how to eat to live, Allah is my witness, if I did not have how to eat to live, I probably would be way bigger than I am now. Because even though I'm not kidding, I love to eat. And I had to really battle myself. You know, there's some of my dear friends out there, they know, they understand, they've seen me up and down, up and down, up and down. I have battled, but the how to eat to live is what gave me the strength to not go over, way over. I could have been over, and I could have taken all my good food, the good food, not no bad food, but the good food, and eaten too many times, eating too much of it, because I love to eat. But how to eat to live gave me a discipline that I needed that I wasn't going to go but so far.
Right.
So now I'm working my way on back, but I never go too far. So I'm thankful. I'm so thankful to Allah for that teaching and for that discipline.
Praise be to Allah. And now we'll send it over to Brother Wesley.
I apologize.
Praise be to Allah, to get off that mute button. I just have one final question. You actually touched on one of the other questions that I had, but in reference to our youth and our children, especially those that may not were introduced to how to eat to live, or the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at an early age before taking on solid foods. How would you recommend to those who want to introduce their child to God's diet if they didn't start with beginning with eating solid foods? And anyone can start that.
You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the sun sets in degrees. You know, it didn't happen to them overnight, you know, the way that they're eating. But they have to know, or you will want them to know, that quality food can taste good, because we're always associating quality food with it not tasting good. We are people that want to have flavor. You know, it's got to taste good. That's important. But we have to spoon feed. You know, you feeding your children all. I mean, the pork has to be immediate. That's non-negotiable. That has to be immediate. But if you're going to introduce other things to your children or your family, you just spoon feed them. You know, let's try something different so we can have we can live long and live well. You know, and that's how I would do it, because I've seen that. You know, I'm telling my clients to get off pork, and their husbands are like, you ain't gonna fix me no ham and this and that. So I think that it has to be in stages, except for the swine. That's just got to go. And once you tell them to just take it home, put it in a jar, and look at all the worms, because we need a visual. You know, like our parents used to say, a heart make a soft behind. We need a visual. They're not going to believe what you say. Just go ahead and take all that pork. Because the lady's saying, well, I got this pork chop and I don't want to throw it away. But you add life to your years to your life, if you will, if you throw it away. You're not wasting any money. You know, go spend that money on something else, you know. So I would just say stage after stage in degrees. But the pork, immediate, for all those who are listening.
Praise be to Allah. And Sister April.
Yes, sir. Brother Wesley, say the question for me one more time.
Yes, ma'am. How would you recommend to those who want to introduce their child to God's diet if they did not start from the beginning, start with it, beginning with eating with solid foods?
Yes, sir. The same with what Sister LaWeeda said. The same thing. Nothing too much different. Just try to replace, you know, any of the bad food with the good food. Try better seasonings, because children may not take to vegetables, or you know, may not be used to them. But you're gonna have to either take a class or find a way to season it in a way where the children, you know, it's palatable to them. But you're gonna have to do it one way or the other, beloved. Y'all gonna have to do it. You know, you choose best for your child. You research and find out what are the best foods for your child. Find out what are the best seasonings to help it be palatable for the child. But you make the decision. Start out, you know, with your vegetables. If you want meat, start out with fish. I would keep it as simple as possible. You know, you don't even have to give them chicken if you don't want to. You don't have to give them beef. You can give them the fish. You can give them the vegetables. You can give them we're actually not supposed to cook our fruit. I used to make homemade applesauce for my children, but you're not supposed to cook the fruit. But you know, there are ways. Join your MGT, and we have all the recipes for you to show you how to feed your babies. Come join the MGT. We have it for you.
Can I comment on something?
Yes, ma'am.
one of the things that I would do, I would invite people over. So I would invite a lot of people over and cook for them. And they would think that we eat sweet potatoes when it was candy butternut squash. So sometimes I would just feed them and let them see that good, quality food can taste good. It's not a punishment, just like fun, eating well, and being healthy. That's not a burden, So just approach it. So that's one of the things that I would do is I would cook for them. I would invite a lot of people over and feed, and then people will wonder. I have a person that cuts my hair out here, and they were in Chicago, and they said I still don't eat the swine. Ever since you told me about that, me and my family, we don't touch it. And the little girl, she's about maybe 9 or younger. And she said, I think I accidentally ate some pork. And oh my God, she's having a whole fit at this young age. But she's learning to ask questions, read the ingredients and things like that. But they had my cooking, by God's grace. So that's another way to do it.
Absolutely, I agree.
Praise due to Allah. Thank you so much. I'd like to now pass it to Sister Janine for our announcements.
Thank you, Brother Wesley. We definitely thank you both for just giving the responses to the answers, and our audience definitely enjoy it. And this is a topic that we definitely need in our community, especially now. We looked in a report. I think the National Health Association said about 60% of the U.S. is on some form of medication. So How to Eat to Live can definitely help our family. And as we close our family, we just have a few announcements that we want to go over today. You like what you heard today, and I'm sure you did. You are invited to study with the Nation of Islam to learn the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by his chief helper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, by going to www.noi.org/go study. We have weekly webcasts every week on Sundays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can go and visit one of the local mosques in our city. If you don't know where it is, you can definitely call our headquarters at 773-324-6000 or go to www.noi.org/join. Final Call Radio, download it on all of your devices, take it with you on the go, especially with everything that's going on in this world today. There's nothing better you can do. Whether you're going to work, doing your errands, keep the Final Call Radio in your ear, put it on when you're driving about. It's definitely good to have some positivity in your ear and in your child's ear. The Final Call newspaper, we print that weekly, so you can definitely go to Final Call online. You can go get the Final Call from one of the brothers in our streets. And don't forget about our brothers and sisters who are in prison. You can get them a Final Call subscription as well. And you see that title for this week, I ran in morning. So it's definitely, if you want to know what's really going on, that's the paper, the news, and the media that you need to be paying attention to. Last but not least, do you want a book that greatly empowers your precious children and showcases their self-worth? Look no further than I Never Knew I'm All That, Book 1. This highly recommended book from WHID-FM will provide the reassurance and affirmation for your child's needs, invest in your child's confidence and self-love with this must-read book available on Amazon.com. I Never Knew I'm All That, Book 1. Written by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, illustrations by Sister Amina Lay. So with that, I will turn it over to Brother Donald, who's going to close us out and with our Muhammad moment, and then we will close out in prayer. Brother Donald.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you so much, sisters. Allah hates ingratitude, so we are very grateful that you came on along with Sister Latifah, who's a recent member, addition to the WHID-FM team. So we thank Sister LaWeeda, Sister April. We thank the team from WHID, Brother West, Brother Wesley, Sister Janine, Sister Latifah, and that unseen force, my best friend forever, and my wife, Sister Cynthia Muhammad. But of course, God had to come. And when he came, he set up the Nation of Islam, and he raised up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Master Father Muhammad did that, God in person. Those two are not here, but there is one on scene today. He's our brother. He's our leader, teacher, and guide. He reflects the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know who I'm talking about. Our beloved brother, the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. Without him, there would be no WHID-FM and surely no Brother Donald Muhammad. So with that, we thank you again. We thank our listening audience. We thank all those who continue to tune in and learn more about the life-giving, life-saving teachings. And let me say this, that's what I love the most about this show. The people tune in and they see the transformation that we make from death into life as a result of these teachings. We're talking about Islam as taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Brother Wesley, who's going to give us our Muhammad moment, and then Brother Wes will close us in prayer. Love you all, family. May Allah bless you and keep you as we greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Today's Muhammad moment is from a lecture delivered by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan entitled How to Eat to Live. This was delivered December 28th, 1988 from the Final Call Administration Building in Chicago, Illinois. You can find this lecture and many other lectures from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on store.finalcall.com. So definitely go and get your lectures and continue to study these life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And again, this lecture is entitled How to Eat to Live. And here's today's Muhammad's moment.
Can't talk about food until you establish the credentials of the one who's teaching you. You ask a question, someone comes to you, I can fix your car. You can. What school did you go to? What is your experience? I got a Benz. I just can't let any jackleg mechanic fix on my car. So if he tells you, oh, brother, I've studied this 20-some years and I have so many years of experience. Oh, I see. Well, all right. You want to know by what authority do you dare tell me how to eat to live? All right. Now look, God says in the Quran to this woman Mary that she's going to bear a child, and God will teach this child the book and the wisdom, the Torah and the gospel, and make him a messenger to the children of Israel, saying, I have come to you with a sign from your Lord. Now the one who comes is not God, but he comes making a sign that God is with him, in him, and through him. He says, look, I determined for you out of dust the form of a bird, then I breathe into it, and it becomes a bird with Allah's permission. That's powerful. I heal the blind and the leprous, and I bring the dead to life with Allah's permission. And I inform you of what you should eat and what you should store in your houses. Moses could not prepare life for the children of Israel until he changed the way they ate. Is that right? They were eating the way Pharaoh taught them. Moses had to bring them a dietary law. If you read the book of Leviticus, you will find Moses telling the people what foods to eat, what foods not to eat. Is that right? And the good Jews follow that to this day. And they get a lot of credit for following God's law. But still, they don't live long. They live longer, but they don't live that old, long life. You know why? Because eating good food according to the law of life is not enough.
That's right, brother.
You can't eat good food physically and eat poor food spiritually. This got to be in harmony with this. So if you're going to put good food in your stomach, you got to put good wisdom in your head. And then, brother, you don't just eat to stay pretty. You eat to live. But what do you mean live? Good God. You all right? How to eat to live. What is live? What does it mean? Eat to live. Well, it means eat to live. Live means live. Means stay around. Means extend your days. Means a lot more than that.
Yes, sir.
How to eat to gain the physical strength to live. To live means to act in accord with living principles. To act in accord with principles that come out of the law of life, which is love. Listen now. A carnal mind, Scripture says, is death. But a spiritual mind, the fruit of it is peace. When you don't have peace and contentment of mind, even the good food that you put in your system is disturbed by a mind that is rebelling against doing the right thing. Do you follow me? So the thing that has to go hand in hand with good eating is good acting. And when you act right and eat right, you have peace and contentment of mind. So the things that upset the wicked do not upset the righteous. Therefore, you can extend and extend and extend and extend your days.
Praise be to Allah. With that, we'll close in prayer. Attention prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik yawm al-Din. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Assalamu alaikum, family.
I want you to understand that, know the time. It's time that we are accepted and respected by both man and mankind. You know, the scripture says that God would choose those that are despised